Did you know that all of your thoughts are not your thoughts? I thought all of my thoughts were my thoughts. I thought all of the thoughts that I had in my mind were my thoughts, or most of them. Some of those thoughts I just knew that they were not my thoughts. But I did not know to the degree of thoughts that came into my mind were not mine. So we are going to go through some scriptures that's going to show you that all of your thoughts are not your thoughts, and most of your thoughts are not your thoughts. And what to do with those contrary thoughts that come into your mind, those contrary imaginations, those fear pictures that the enemy projects into your mind. We are going to start at Matthew 16:15 through 23. Jesus is talking to his disciples. He saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. So Jesus asked his disciples a question, and Simon Peter answered. He said, Thou art the Son of God, the Christ. And Jesus said that flesh and blood, he did not come up with that in his own mind, that God himself revealed this revelation to him. So God gave him a thought in his mind, and he spoke it out. He spoke it out. And Jesus said that he was blessed for speaking that God thought out. 18. And I say unto thee, Thou art Peter, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will give unto thee the kings of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So now Jesus is 20. Then charged he his disciples that they should not tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. So Jesus speaking to his disciples and letting them know what will come in the future. Peter rebuked him for what Jesus said. He said, It's not going to happen, Jesus. He said, Be it far from you. This is not going to be unto you. And this is how Jesus responds. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. So Peter is saying something that's pretty logical. He's like, far be it from thee that this evil is going to happen to you. It's logical. This thought came into his mind, and Peter came into agreement with it. He was like, that's not far be it from thee. He spoke it out. And now we know the source of that thought. That thought came from Satan. So Peter came into agreement with the thought. He spoke it out, and Jesus rebuked him, saying, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. So here's a great example where Peter had two thoughts, one thought from God and one thought from the devil. And Jesus is showing us that what comes into our mind are not ours. When Peter spoke that God thought out, he spoke it out. Jesus said, Flesh and blood did not reveal it to you, but my Father which is in heaven. When Peter spoke out that other thought, that it shouldn't happen, what Jesus is saying should not come to pass, Jesus said, Get thee behind me, Satan. So we see that as we go throughout our day, thoughts are coming to our mind, and we need to be aware of the source of those thoughts. Are those thoughts from God? Are those thoughts from Satan? Are those thoughts from the flesh? What is the source of these thoughts? What are the source of these thoughts? And that's something that I'm learning now to do. And I need a lot more, I need a lot more experience with it, but learning where our thoughts come from. And sometimes we get like an evil thought that comes into our mind. Let's say that you have to go to court for something, and the enemy can put a thought in your mind that you'll have to go to jail or pay a fine, and he can put a scary thought in your mind, and you can just be like, oh no. You come into agreement with it, believing it, but that thought is not your thought. You don't know the future. And God said, if whatever you ask in my name, that will I do. If it's according to his word, he'll do it. But the enemy will put a fear thought in your mind, contrary to what you believe, what you pray for. And then that fear thought you can come into agreement with. And that thing can come out into your life. So, we're going to read another example. We're going to go to Job. We're going to read Job, the first chapter. There was a man in the land of Oz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day. I guess that must be his birthday. Every one his day. And sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. So Job is operating in fear. He is making sacrifices for his sons, thinking that they are sinning. And he's doing this continually. So continually, every time they go have a party, at a birthday party, or a feast, or party, Job is afterwards saying, maybe they sinned against God and cursed God, so I'm gonna do these burnt sacrifices to appease God, just in case they sin. He did it continually. So Job is operating out of fear. 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one who feareth God and escheweth evil? And Satan answered the Lord and said, doth not Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughter were eating and drinking. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God has fallen from heaven, and hath burnt up the sheep and the servants, and it consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine at their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So, Satan could not touch Job, but we know that Satan was projecting thoughts in his mind. That thought that he had in his mind that said, It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. So he operated that thought. Satan gave him that thought. It's a thought of fear. It's a fear thought. God is not the author of fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So this thought that came into Job's mind was not his thought. It was Satan's thought. And he started to operate in this thought. And because he operated in this thought, we're going to go to another scripture. That opened a door for the enemy to be able to come in, because we're going to show he had great faith. Job 3:25. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. So Job had great fear for this thing to happen. And we know that fear is faith invert. It's the invert of faith. Fear is faith in evil. So Job had great faith that this thing would come unto him. And he was operating in fear. And we see the enemy orchestrate an attack on him. One after the other, one after the other, an attack on him. But he did not sin, and did not sin. So we do know that Job got double for his trouble. He was healed, he got double for his trouble. But fear opened the door for the enemy to come in, and he had great faith that this thing would happen to him, and he was operating in fear. He did not cast down those thoughts that came into his mind from the enemy. This is what we're supposed to do when these contrary thoughts come into our mind that cause fear, because God has not given us the spirit of fear. So if we get a thought that comes into our mind that causes us to get fearful and to have anxiety, we know that that thought is of the enemy. And this is what we're supposed to be doing. 2 Corinthians 10:3-6. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. We are supposed to be casting down those imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. We're supposed to cast down those thoughts and those imaginations and bring every thought captive to obey Christ. So this is a battlefield in our mind that we are constantly going through on a day-to-day basis. How many thoughts come into your mind? I heard that there's some crazy number of thoughts come into your mind, like hundreds of thousands of thoughts, thousands and thousands of thoughts come into your mind every day. So we are supposed to be casting down those thoughts and not getting emotionally involved in those thoughts like Job did. Job had a thought, he didn't cast it down. He got emotionally involved. He got emotional with that thought, and he started to act to try to prevent it, to try to stop it. He tried to stop that thing from happening by doing sacrifices so his sons and his daughters don't die. That was the thing he greatly feared, that his sons would curse God and die. So he was operating in fear to do sacrifices to appease God, so that doesn't happen. But he was operating in the wrong spirit, the spirit of fear, which is not of God, which is actually of the enemy, because it's not of God. So we are supposed to be taking every thought captive. And another point that's really good, that we have to have a readiness to revenge all disobedience when our obedience is fulfilled. We have to be obedient to the word of God. We can't operate in fear. We can't operate with the devil's devices, with his tools. We have to operate with God's tools, the name of God. We have to operate in obedience, because we don't want to operate in disobedience. Because when we operate in disobedience, we're on the devil's playground, and we will not be able to revenge all disobedience when our obedience is not fulfilled. So I hope that this helped you, that this was beneficial to you, to know that all of your thoughts are not your thoughts, and that we actually have something to do. We have to be active in casting thoughts down, those thoughts and those imaginations that bring fear into our mind. We need to cast them down, knowing that God is taking care of everything, and remaining at peace and remaining at rest. Because then, when we're at peace and rest, the blessings will come. The manifestation will come. That is good. But if we're operating in fear and anxiety, the thing that we don't want will come upon us. We don't want that. We don't want that. Okay, so I hope this blessed you today. Please like and subscribe.